Hartley House is very active in our program. When we have a patient that presents to the emergency room with the chief complaint of sexual assault or rape, Hartley House is immediately called and respond within 30 minutes. They act as the patient advocate during the exam as well as after the exam. During the exam, they will act as a support system for the patient, as well as sometimes assisting us in little tasks that we have during the exam. Afterwards, if the patient needs safe shelter or some follow-up resources, or maybe just even a ride home, they will organize that for them. They also follow up with the patient after an exam to make sure that they are safe, that they will receive the required counseling if they need that, as well as during our anonymous reporting, they will coordinate law enforcement, state's attorney's office, as well as with the patient in order to make sure if the patient wants the program. Hartley House is a benefit to the patients that we see, not only as a support system during the exam, but as well as afterwards. A lot of women, once they leave our room, they're going back sometimes into their battlefield that they just left. Hartley House can give them the counseling that they need, as well as legal services, as well as safe shelter. A lot of women need that. Since January of 2011 until December of 2011, our SAFE program saw 101 patients. That included adult, adolescent, as well as pediatric, and consults. We have a wonderful working relationship with the Hartley House. Since we spend a lot of hours in the safe room with the advocates, we grow close to them, understanding what they do as well as them understanding what we do.
Hi, I'm Roberta Geidner, the interim CEO for Hartley House. And last summer, my predecessor came to Leaders on Loan to ask them to do a new personnel policy and employee handbook for us. So the Piranhas took that on in September, chewed it all up, spit it out, and started all over again for us. Brought us a brand new handbook that when I started in late January, made my life so much simpler so I could concentrate on the most important things. And that is what Hartley House has done since 1977. So our mission in the community is to really prevent violence. And we're the only agency in Frederick County that serves victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. You may not know it, but 1 in 3 women are the victims of sexual assault, 1 in 6 men are the victims of sexual assault, and 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. The amount of child abuse is too high to count in some instances, and it's our children that we're trying to save. So how do we do that? We have a 24/7 hotline that does information referral, crisis counseling and crisis intervention, suicide calls, domestic violence calls. With domestic violence, we have a lethality assessment so that in Maryland we've reduced domestic violence homicides by 40%, unlike any other state in the country. And we then can move people who need our services into emergency shelter. We have 29 beds in 7 private rooms so that we can keep families together. They can move 30 days, 60 days, a year, then into transitional housing. We have 13 transitional housing units, both rural and urban, that give women and their families or men and their families the chance to move it to even more independent living. Counseling services, case management services, legal services that can help get protective orders, peace orders, divorce and custody, and protect families from an abuser. And we also do work for the abusers. So helping them learn what is wrong with their behavior through an abuser intervention program and taking the next step to becoming a whole human being again. So all of those services are provided by 45 full and part-time staff as well as volunteers. And we had a handbook that was last updated in 2000. So just imagine an employee handbook that was 12 years old. And when I met with the Piranhas, and they showed me the product, I couldn't have thanked them enough. It was just phenomenal to have what would have taken me 6 to 9 months of work, to have it all there so that I could move the chess pieces around into a format that worked for us and add a few pieces, have our attorney look at it, and our human resources professional, and both of them said, wow, wow, you've got it all here. And the staff said, Roberta, you've gotten us into the 21st century. So I can't thank the Piranhas enough, and the Leaders on Loan program and Leadership Frederick. As a leadership alum myself, I've been through Leadership Akron, Leadership Youngstown, Leadership Baltimore. I thank Leadership Frederick because, as I have experienced, you guys are the best.